I'm back and here today with a review of The Coldest Girl in Coldtown by Holly Black. I just finished this 3 days ago and I cannot get it out of my head. It's such an intriguing, bizarre concept. I've never read anything like it before, honestly. So I guess I'll start off with a summary. The Coldest Girl in Coldtown is the story of Tana, who lives in a world in America where vampirism has taken over as a disease, and once you get bitten you are infected and start to turn cold, and you are not turned into a complete vampire until you feed on human's blood, and then the transition is complete. The government's way of fixing things is setting up these quarantine zones called cold towns, where humans and vampires coexist in this cramped city where there's parties and it's all haywire and the vampires just go. It's like basically there's this thing called the Eternal Ball, and then there's all these other parties, and they're like bloodbath dance parties, essentially. And typical media in this world, everything is centered around vampirism. Like, there's reality TV shows about vampire bounty hunters, and there's live streams from the parties within Coldtown, and vampires are raised on this pedestal and they're turned into celebrity. A lot of people idolize them and want to be them and think that their murder and their sick violence is glamorous, and the immortality factor and the grace and everything that goes along with being a vampire is just incredible. It's like this fantasy that so many people have in this world. I'm just going to dive right in and start with the characters. I really, really liked the characters in this book. They were really well constructed and dynamic and very real to me. Initially, our main character Tana, I was kind of almost indifferent towards her, because she felt like your stereotypical run-of-the-mill YA girl heroine who's just badass and loves everyone and is so selfless and needs to take care of everyone and blah 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 blah. Typical. So I was just like, yeah, whatever, there's other characters who are interesting. As I got through the book, I started to notice these other layers of her, and I started to really fall in love with her. I mean, this girl has a scarred, screwed up past. Her mother went infected, and her dad trapped her mom in the basement of their house, and Tana, being so little, went to go release her, and the mom bit her, and her dad had to come in with a shovel and decapitate her mother in front of her. She is scarred for life. Her little sister Pearl basically has vowed to take care of Tana because she thinks there's this part of Tana that's just crazy, unstable, and never really, even though she thinks she's really strong and can handle all of it, she can't exactly cope with that past. And then there are some stereotypical traits that go along with Tana. I mean, how can you not in your YA female heroine, how can you not have some of the stereotypical traits? But at the same time, there's just some things that make her really unique, just little things, like how she just laughs at the most inappropriate times. There's a dead body coming through, or she's about to get killed, she just breaks out into maniacal laughter, giggles, nervous, crazy laughter, and I just love her for it. And I love when there's a really dramatic moment, like the climax, for instance, and no one's talking, and crap is going down. People are going to die, and she's trying to conceal her laughter all the while. God, she's just so great. Anyway, so the book starts off with this unforgettable opening scene. Tana wakes up in her bathtub the morning after this sunrise party and comes out, and she can hear the television playing, but she can't really, there's nothing else going on, and so she figures, well, everyone must be asleep. But then she starts to see people on the ground, and their hands and such look bluish. And she gets closer, and there's blood everywhere. Everyone is dead. The windows are smashed in, and all the garlic and the holy relic stuff that used to keep vampires out, it's destroyed. So she immediately knows there's been a vampire break-in, and this is what has happened to these people. So she goes into a back room, and there, chained up, is her ex-boyfriend, Aiden, and he has turned cold. He has been infected. And next to him in the chair beside Aiden is a vampire, but he's chained up as well. So, thus, she decides she will help them, and there's, like, people knocking on the door that are trying to get this vampire, who we find out is named Gabrielle, and so she's, like, breaking them out the window, and as she's climbing out the window, this other vampire that's looking for Gabrielle, like, scratches her leg, and they're, like, making a break for it, getting in the car, throwing the vampire in the trunk, and just going for it. And it just, it's mind-blowing, and it just, you're instantly engaged. So I thought that was really well done. Yeah. So, other characters. So Gabrielle, which is the vampire that she sees chained next to the bed, next to the bed where her ex-boyfriend Aiden is. And Gabrielle is my favorite character, for sure. He is just so... Gabrielle. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Yeah. Anyway, so Gabrielle is a very old vampire, and he has some kind of secret that he doesn't really want to let on, typical brooding, and he's very interesting to me. I love how he quotes poetry and Shakespeare all the time, and he speaks so eloquently, so much so that it almost makes him awkward, which I like. And I love the relationship that he develops with Tana, and they get to a point where they're really comfortable with each other, and she, in order to make him laugh, she, like, licks his cheek or something, and she, like, makes fun of him for being so good at brooding, which I thought was kind of, like, nice comic relief. But what I like about him is that he is a vampire. He is not I'm afraid to be a monster, I don't want to be a monster vampire. He's a vampire, he will kill people, and he knows it. And he is insane, and he knows it. Like, he's crazy. He has the whole maniacal laughter crazy at inappropriate times, like Tana, which I like that parallel a lot. And then we have Aiden, the ex-boyfriend, who's just kind of like an ass, really impressed with himself. But I grew to love him so much, because he just wants to please everyone, but he's still an ass. Pacing. The pacing in this book, for me, was perfect, because it started out and it was really bam, bam, bam. They get away in the car, they meet up with these two people, Midnight and Winter, who are running away from home to get to Coldtown because they want to be vampires, because it's that whole, wow, being undead is so glamorous thing. And they all get into Coldtown, and then the pace just starts to kind of slow to a steady kind of pulse. But you never disengage. It flows really nicely. And all these things at the end come together and come to a flawless fruition. And everything just falls into place, and you realize that she was planting these seeds all throughout this time. And it doesn't need to be some crazy, just full-out action movie type book. It's a lot of world building. And you get this... There's this really foreboding air of realism surrounding it. If there was some kind of vampirism breakout, which I don't think there will be, but if there was, it's pretty dang realistic. Like, the whole media taking advantage of it and idolizing it, and everyone just wanting it, like, kind of like consumerism type thing. It makes sense. That's what would happen. But, so I liked that a lot. If you haven't read it, please go out and buy it, read it. You will totally enjoy it. It is new and it is fresh. And if you were very skeptical as soon as you heard out that it was involved with vampires, trust me, I was too. I was like, vampires? Seriously? I thought we were over that. Like, don't let that stop you from reading this, because this is so unique, so different, and raw and real, and something really worth diving into for sure. The spiders are, like, vengeful towards, like, Thornavistra and, like, Lucian and all those vampires, because they're so involved with the media. Honestly, I agree with him. Like, Lucian's, like, a narcissistic, possessive... Why? He's broadcasting feeds of him, like, sucking people's bloods and, like, doing violence and, like, partying to become a celebrity. Like, honestly, I agree with the spider for being all like, dude, that's not how we roll. Side note. Anyway, so overall, it was really, really good. I really enjoyed it. The characters were really interesting and dynamic. The plot and the pacing flowed really well. And it was really fresh and new and something I had never really read anything like before. It was dark and delicious. 4.5 stars. I know that's a little meticulous, but yeah. So go out and get it, read it, and I will see you guys soon with another video. Keep on reading, guys. Bye!